All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, June 5th. Happy Monday to everyone out there. Slightly smaller slate of MLB games than normal today, but like always, we're going to jump into each and every game. I'll give you my lean or leans on the games, but as always, my final plays will be in the pinned comment, and I update that throughout the day, so keep an eye on that and check back before game time. They're always in before game time. Glad to be back home and get back to these videos. It's always tough when your process gets thrown off. You know, we make do with what we got. I love the comments of, hey, Ev, we respect your grind when you're on the road, recording with your phone and all that, but there is nothing like, you know, the usual comfort of your own home and doing videos. So very excited to be back here. And like I said, smaller slate, so let's go ahead and jump right into it and not waste any more time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. In the first game we're looking at here is going to be the Red Sox taking on the Tampa Bay Rays here. So Rays take two in a row as of right now. The Red Sox have Brian Bayo on the mound and Shane McClanahan is on the mound for the Rays, which is kind of why the odds are where they are. Kind of the, not the craziest odds we've seen all series, but just about the craziest odds we've seen all series. Red Sox right now plus 152 underdogs at home. They did take game one of this series. They won that one 8-5 in the first half of a doubleheader back on June 3rd, but now they've lost two straight here. This Tampa Bay team, I said it yesterday, I'm a Red Sox fan, watch more Red Sox than any other team. This Rays team is better. They're better than the Red Sox. Definitely as of right now. They definitely started the season better. They kind of have been slipping a little bit, but still have won 3 of their last 4. That being said, minus 165 doesn't really entertain me all that much. I may be taking a peek at, if anything, the Red Sox plus 1.5. But yeah, that's the side of this game I don't really love altogether. If this was -1, even minus 155, I'd probably consider Tampa Bay. But minus 165 is just on that edge of, okay, it's a little bit too much juice to be paying. And then we look at the total of 9 runs, which I think is the value in this game. We haven't seen the Red Sox bats come to play in the last couple games, right? Yes, game 1, they score 8 runs, and okay, you they win that, right? But since then, 2 runs and 2 runs scored, and then Tampa Bay on the other side is only scoring 5, 4, 6 runs here. So we have a total of 9 runs with, probably the best pitcher in this series on the mound here in McClanahan. I'm gonna lean towards the under. I do like this spot today, and again, I like that more than probably either side of this game. But if anything, I'm probably looking at some run line action in this game. I don't really like the idea of really even taking the chance on Boston moneyline or having to pay the juice of Tampa Bay minus 165. So if you can't tell, my biggest lean and most confident lean in this game is going to be the under. All right, moving on, we got the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Detroit Tigers in this one here. Detroit's coming off of getting swept by the White Sox. They lose 3-0, 2-1, and then 6-2, so they really had no chance in any of those games except for maybe game 2. We did have them yesterday. That did not pan out well for us whatsoever. And Phillies coming off of taking their last 2 games against Washington and resulting in a 2-1 series victory there. But that being said, minus 230 seems like it's way too much for the Phillies over here. And I don't necessarily lean Detroit money line. That is plus 200, excuse me. So like, yeah, if you want to go over there, double up your money, that sounds decent, right? But my play in this game is probably going to be Detroit plus 1.5. It's not going to be a final play. I don't think that I like this enough to actually roll with it, but for plus 105 odds, I do think that you're getting some value there. Philly's feeling good. Detroit's coming off of, 3 straight losses. I don't think that, Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies is anything spectacular. Joey Wentz on the mound certainly isn't spectacular for the Tigers. So I expect this to be kind of like a back and forth high score run, or high run game. So I'm going to lean towards Detroit plus 1.5. I don't love it all that much at all. And I also like the over here, but guys, if you can't tell by my voice, this isn't really the valuable game today. I don't think this is either side of this, or the over or under is going to be a final play for me. If it is for you, let me know in the comments. That is definitely okay. I'm just saying, if you came here for some sort of validation for any picks that you had on this game, don't take anything I'm saying, okay, well, Ev said it, I can't run with it anymore. No, I don't love this spot altogether. All right, the Marlins taking on the Royals in this one. Marlins coming off of 3 wins in a row. They were against Oakland, but they do get the series sweep in all games, not very close. Kansas City coming off of losing 2 of 3 against Colorado. And I know we don't have it in the graphics, but you're actually getting minus 158 odds on Miami over on FanDuel right now. The total sitting at 8 runs. I'm going to take a peek at Miami. Something's fishy about that. I do think that Miami should be minus 165-ish. The fact that we're sitting in the minus 150s right now, kind of something smells a little fishy, but I do think this is a good spot for Miami. I like the value there. And then in terms of a total 8 runs, I don't think Kansas City, their offense just hasn't looked very good. They've had 2 games in the last 10 or 15 games where they've had decent scoring out, but other than that, it's 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs, maybe if they're lucky, 4 runs. Whereas Miami, I do think that they could put a bunch of runs, but they haven't really looked at anything that's greater than 7 runs or so, except for a couple games there in their last few. So I think I'm going to lean towards the under here as well, but Miami can go up there and score a bunch of points if they want to get to it. We don't on the mound for the Marlins here is Braxton Garrett, and then Carlos Hernandez on the mound for the Royals. So I do think that this one could have, if one of these pitchers wants to blow up, then we shoot ourselves in the foot with this under. But nonetheless, my lean in this game is probably going to be Miami minus 158 on the money line. I think that there's some good value there. It is a little juicy, but they're a better team. They're a way better team than this Royals team. And like I said, the only thing that turns me off of this is the fact that that's the odd that we're getting, right? Minus 158. I feel like it should be minus 165, minus 170, but it's not. All right, guys, before we get into the second half of the slate, I do want to talk to you guys about Jock Market. Jock Market is an awesome DFS player prop app, just like Prize Picks, just like all the other ones out there. But what Jock Market really specializes in is having these really soft lines. So obviously, you guys probably consume content plenty, and you're like, okay, someone says, hey, you got to go and take Aaron Judge over 1.5 RBI hits plus runs plus RBIs, and then you go on Prize Picks and it's gone, right? The thing about Jock Market is it usually stays up there a little bit longer. They're slower to adjust lines, and it really is a cool app. Very easy interface, everything like that. Go check that out, guys. You can get 100% of your first deposit matched with the link in the description, and I'll also put it in the pinned comment as well. But I highly suggest checking it out. I've been using that as my predominant player prop app for a while now, and I've actually been having a really, really good time with it. So go check that out. And if you're not into sort of the more or less than the set projections, guys, they also have a stock market for players where it could be season long, week long, month long, or in game. You can buy and sell shares of players and kind of rank against peers like that for real money. So definitely go check out Outlier, guys. It is totally worth it. I've been liking that app for a while now, and I don't push things that I don't use myself. So make sure to go check out Outlier, guys. It's definitely taken over that predominant role of my Prize Picks app. Moving on, we got Pittsburgh taking on the Oakland A's here. Pittsburgh, big time favorites, minus 178 over on FanDuel. I think that there is some value here actually in Pittsburgh, minus 1.5. My only issue is that the public's all over. As of right now, 93% of the money is on Pittsburgh, minus 1.5. But I don't think this Oakland team has any juice whatsoever. I do think that this Pittsburgh team is kind of starting to show a little life. They took 2 of 3 against San Francisco, and it's like, okay. And then they go and take 2 or 3 in a row. They sweep the Cardinals, and guess what, guys? They've been underdogs in all of those games. So they've won 6 of their last 10 games. They're underdogs in every single one of those games, and they've won 6 of them, and they're on 5 wins in a row. So I do think that this could be a good spot for them. Even taking games against St. Louis, 7-5, covering a run line, even though they're underdogs. So they doubled up their run line, right? They had plus 1.5. They win by 2 runs. San Francisco 9-4, that type of thing. So I do think that this is a really good spot for them. Minus 1.5 for some plus money. I don't really consider the minus 178 unless it continues to move in that direction, which would be a little issue for me, because if this line opens up at like minus 185 like in the graphic and all the money's all over Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden we're getting better odds for Pittsburgh, be wary of that. But I do like plus money at the minus 1.5. You can't go wrong with plus money. Then in terms of a total, we're looking at 8.5 runs. I think this one goes up and over just because of the pitching on the mound here. I don't necessarily trust Oviedo, and on the mound for the Athletics is JP Sears. Both these guys can blow up at any given moment. In their last few starts, JP Sears has actually looked pretty good. Still don't necessarily trust him. And same thing for Oviedo, but either way, guys, I do think that this is going to be a spot where I don't think either one of these offenses comes in going, oh my God, I'm shaking my boots going up against this pitcher. So there's going to be some confident bats behind the plate today. All right, we got the Blue Jays taking on the Astros in this one here. Blue Jays favored at home, minus 125. Houston is at plus 110 over on DraftKings right now on the road, and that is going to be the side we lean on here. The only thing that throws me off is Brendan Balick on the mound. I talk about him in plenty. I don't really love him on the mound for the Astros. He's got a 3.19 ERA, 2-2. He's been kind of shutting me up lately, but on the mound for the Blue Jays is something that I really don't trust even more here. Alek Manoah, 1-6 with a 5. 2.46 ERA. Last time they played two, back in mid-April, they had a series, and Houston took 2 of the 3 there as well. And I just think that there's good value at taking Houston at plus money here. Houston, though Toronto's kind of on a tear, right? They've won 7 of their last 10. They are coming off of their, 3-game sweep against the Mets here. Houston's also won 7 of their last 10, so I think that there is some value in looking at what Houston's been doing, what Toronto's been doing, and then taking it from there. Both these teams playing good baseball. Houston, obviously beating I would say a good Angels team. I know I always talk and I catch kind of mousetrap myself here because I'm like, the Angels are overrated, and then they go and take 3-1. I'm like, see, the Astros beat the Angels. It's like, yes, I know I call them overrated, but nonetheless, 5-2, 6-2, 9-6, those are really quality wins against that Angels team. And then they lose yesterday. Okay, big whoop. It's 1 game. You aren't going to get a 4-game sweep there. So I think both these teams are trending in the right direction, in all honesty. I'm just kind of curious to see how this game goes, but I think the value is going to be on the underdog. I'm trusting Bailick here. His last start out, 5 2/3 pitched, 1.06 whip, 6 Ks, and just 1 earned run, as opposed to Alek Manoah, who is barely making it into the 4th inning as of late, which you don't really expect of him all that much to begin with, but nonetheless, his whip has been way up. They're barely striking anyone out and allowing a lot of runs. I'm trusting a pitcher that I don't really like in Bailick, and I do trust this Astros offense as of right now. Even with injuries, they still have plenty of dudes out there, so I'm going to lean towards them. And then in terms of a total, 10 seems a little bit high, but I'm kind of on the fringe there. Like, I'm going to lean under, but this is one of those ones if I'm like, okay, guys, if you're in the comments saying, no, this is an over game, like these 2 pitchers aren't going to contain their offenses, which are 2 good offenses, right? This one's going to go over. I don't necessarily deny it. So my bigger lean is going to be Houston money line, obviously, but I'm going to lean towards the under so slightly. I think that this could be like a 5-4 game with a lot of runs at different times and still hit the under. But if you guys are on the over, more power to you. I wouldn't deny that that's going to happen at all. All right, Brewers taking on Cincinnati. Brewers have had their number thus far. They've won 3 games in a row, 5-4, 10-8, and 5-1. On the mound here today for the Brewers is going to be Julio Teheran. And then on the mound for the Reds, we don't have a starter yet, which kind of makes me a little bit weary in picking this game, but I am going to lean towards the Brewers on the money line. They're even odds right now over on BetMGM, but I don't necessarily think that that's going to be a final play. If it is, keep an eye on the pinned comment, but the only thing that's keeping me off of, saying I'm kind of like hook, line, sinker taking this type of pick is just given the fact that they've already won 3 in a row. And you know how hard it is, regardless if you're playing a bad team and you're a good team or anything like that, right? How hard it is to win 4 games in a row against the same team. Now, we don't know who's pitching for the Reds, and they're still favored, so little interesting there. But, I think that this is just good value on the side of the Brewers because none of these games have been all that close. Now, they, 1-run game in game 1, 2-run game in game 2, but they kind of showed some power there in game 3 with a 5-1 win. So, if I kind of block out, take each game by game, then I'm leaning Brewers here on the money line. If I look at the series as a whole, something's making me go, okay, you know what? They're not going to win 4 in a row, are they? But I got to block that out because we got to go game by game here. So in this situation, I think this is a good spot for the Brewers. And I also like the over 9.5 runs. This Brewers offense is finally starting to kind of pick it up as opposed to where they were recently. The Cincinnati offense was picking it up. Look at that series against Chicago and look at that series against Boston. And then even, I would say, I guess, for somewhat, the first 2 games of this series, I think 9.5, you have some good value there. And like I said, we don't know who's on the mound for the Reds, but they could throw out anybody. I'm not going to go, oh my God, we're not going to take the under we're not going to take the under against that pitcher. It's not that type of thing. And then in terms of who's pitching on the mound for the Brewers here, Teheran, 2 starts, looking really good, but how long does that last, right? So I do think that this is one where the offenses can come alive, and we lean towards the over. Keep an eye on the pinned comment, see if we do anything with this. Definitely decent chance for both sides to end up rolling with something like that. So keep an eye on that pinned comment. All right, Texas taking on St. Louis. We have 2 teams that are legitimately playing in opposite directions here, or moving in opposite directions. Texas has won 8 of their last 10. They've taken 5 of their last 6 games, coming off of a series sweep against the Mariners. And St. Louis, favored in all 3 games against their Pittsburgh opponents in their last series, and they catch the L in all 3 games, getting swept there. On the mound for the Rangers, Martin Perez, 6-1 with a 4.43 ERA. Adam Wainwright on the mound for the Cardinals, 2-1 with a 6.15 ERA. I'm leaning Texas minus 125, but if you were to ask me to line read this game, I'm not sure why Texas is only minus 125. And I know I throw that out to you guys all the time and say, hey guys, beware in these types of situations because you have a team that's playing really, really well, coming off of, blowing out a team yesterday. They're at home now, and you're having a Cardinals team who's really been slumping coming in, and you're only minus 125 favorites. That's where I tell you guys, okay, use caution when looking into this game. Definitely do your due diligence, as much research as you can, because I could easily see this one, looking at this line last night and then in the morning being like, okay, we come in here and it opened up at, I think it did open up at minus 125. Some sportsbooks actually have it at like minus 130, which is good because that means sportsbooks are moving in the direction that the bets are coming in on, right? But nonetheless, I do think that this should be a minus 150 type spot. So the fact that sportsbooks have it pegged at minus 125 would be my only hindrance in this game. Other than that, you have the better pitcher, the better team, the better offense as of right now at home. All things considered, this should be a Texas spot 100%. And then in terms of the total 9.5 runs, I don't necessarily trust that this Cardinals offense has it put together there, but I'm going to lean towards the over because of what I just said. If this is only minus 125 on the Texas side of things and Texas is going to score a million runs, just using that odds information, I do think Vegas thinks that St. Louis is going to keep this close, and it's going to be a high-scoring game because Texas, 16 runs scored and 12 runs scored in their last couple games, right? So if this is going to be a close game, minus 125 ain't the biggest of juices here. That means that St. Louis is going to keep this game close, and I don't see, the Texas offense slowing down. All right, last game of the slate here. We have game 4 between the Cubs and the Padres. Cubs have taken 2 of 3 so far. I should have taken them yesterday. I knew I should have taken them yesterday, but I just couldn't get myself to pull the trigger. But today we are going to be looking at the Cubs plus 150 odds in a series in which they're already showing that they can compete and win against this team. Plus 150 is just, odds that I cannot deny here. Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres. Yes, he's a good name, but on the season, 1-6 with 4.5 ERA. Kyle Hendricks on the mound for the Cubs, coming back, obviously, so only 2 starts so far for him, and he hasn't looked all that bad. The whip is really high, but he's keeping the runs down, at least in his last start here. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run against Tampa Bay, and 3 strikeouts. So, yes, the whip is up there, 1.8, which is just little bit scary. We're looking at a Blake Snell who has probably had, way more bad starts this season than he has good starts. He's letting guys on base as well. Last couple starts, he's kept the runs down, but just like I said with Kyle Hendricks, definitely letting guys on base. So I think that this is a good opportunity for the Cubs here, plus 150. Total sitting at 8.5 runs. Yes, you have 2 pitchers that are going to let guys up on base, but for whatever reason, they're not letting runs in, so they're getting out of jams. I'm going to lean towards the under here as well. All 3 games in this series have gone under this mark, so maybe the lids come off today, sure, and we get this blown up, but I'm going to trust the trend and also trust the pitchers in this one. And that is all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys do enjoy the video. Keep an eye on the pinned comment for all my final plays, and yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, peace out.